I want to talk about something that lives in the quiet spaces of a workday. The hum of fluorescent lights, the click of a keyboard, the small talk by the coffee machine. It all feels so ordinary, so safe, until it doesn't. This all started for me back when I was just a kid, really. 20 years old, trying to build a resume during a college summer. I landed an internship at a financial services firm downtown. The work was soul-crushingly boring, just data entry and spreadsheets, but it was a foot in the door. There were 7 of us interns, all crammed together in this open office with cubicle walls so low you couldn't hide a secret behind them. Most of the crew were cool. We'd gripe about the work, make plans for the weekend, the usual. One guy, Eric, was deadly serious, always hunched over his desk like he was defusing a bomb. But then there was Alex. When I first met Alex, he just seemed off. Not in a scary way, just awkward. Tall, thin, pale, with a mop of dark hair that never quite looked clean. He didn't fit the finance mold, but hey, neither did I. It began subtly. I'd be buried in a spreadsheet, and I'd sense a presence. I'd look up, and there his head would be, rising slowly above the cubicle wall, like the world's creepiest jack-in-the-box. The walls were short, so he looked freakishly tall, just his head and shoulders visible. He'd tilt his head, give me this strange frozen grin, and start talking in this voice. This deliberately slow, creepy, taunting voice, like he was trying to sound like a villain from a bad movie. He'd say things like, working hard, or hardly working. Ronnie, dragging out the words. And he'd hold that smile for a beat too long. I'd force a laugh, pretend it was just his weird bit. Everyone else did. They thought it was just Alex being Alex, trying to be funny. But it was only ever directed at me. I was his sole audience. The others might hear it, but he was looking at me. As the weeks dragged on, the visits got longer. He'd just lean there staring, sometimes not even speaking. That voice was a constant. I'd make excuses, say I had a deadline, but he'd just linger. I started to dread that slow ascent of his head over the partition. Then one night, about 6 weeks in, I'm home eating dinner. My phone rings. Unknown number. I picked up expecting a delivery guy. Hello? Silence on the line. Then that voice. Alex's voice, but sharper, louder, coming through the speaker right into my kitchen. The tide's coming in, he said, each word stretched out. Pull your boat out of the water. Then he erupted. This insane, shrieking, unhinged laugh. A sound that didn't belong in a human conversation before the line went dead. My blood went cold. It wasn't just the call. It was the fact that I had never given Alex my number, not once. I texted the number back, nothing. It was a landline. How did he get it? Why was he calling me? The rational part of my brain, the intern brain, said maybe he got it from a company directory. But the animal part of my brain, the part that heard that laugh, knew better. This wasn't a prank. This was a warning shot. That Monday, Alex wasn't at his desk. I went to our supervisor, Martin, and asked, my voice probably a little too high, if interns could get personal numbers from the system. He looked confused. Not only could they not, he told me, but they'd let Alex go the previous Friday. He wasn't doing any work. I told Martin about the call. The other interns overheard. Nods all around. Yeah, he was creepy, one said. Made me uncomfortable too. It was validation, but it didn't warm me up. Martin assured me he was gone for good. For a week, I jumped at every shadow, but nothing happened. I started to breathe again. Then one Friday morning, deep in that pre-dawn darkness just before 5 a.m., a sound woke me. Not a loud sound, just a feeling. I got up and looked out my bedroom window, and there he was, Alex, standing in the middle of my backyard, halfway between the trees and the glow of the porch light. Just standing there, perfectly still, staring up at my window. The world was silent and blue-gray, and he was a black cutout against it. My body locked. I couldn't move. We stared at each other through the glass for what felt like a year. Then, clear as a bell in the still air, he called my name. Rooney! In that same sing-song, performative, creepy voice. It wasn't a shout. It was a delivery. I snapped into action, scrambling for my phone. As I did, I saw him tilt his head back and start laughing. That same hysterical, broken laugh from the phone call, now echoing in my quiet suburban yard. I yelled through the window, waving my phone, saying I was calling the cops. He just stood there for another second, then turned and walked, not ran, walked into the tree line, the laughter fading with him. The police were kind, but what could they do? He was gone. He hadn't crossed a line they could see. He just crossed every line I had inside me. I never saw him again. I finished the internship, got a job offer I didn't take. You tell yourself it was mental illness, a social disorder, something to explain the unexplainable. But the sound of that laugh in the dark, that sticks to your bones. It teaches you a person can be a mystery, and some mysteries are best left unsolved. I thought that was my one story. But life has a way of teaching the same lesson twice. A few years later, when I was 17, I got my first real job at a grocery store in my quiet Vermont hometown. It was the kind of place where you knew everyone. The work was simple. I liked the people. There was this one guy, Sean, worked in the dairy section, 24, quiet, awkward, in a way that made him seem harmless. Longer hair, kind of shy. We didn't talk much. Then I got added to the work group chat. Sean was in it. No big deal. But then the direct messages started. First it was just work stuff. You covering the Sunday shift? Then it became, what kind of music are you into? Then you looked cute in your post yesterday. I was 17. He was a grown man. The tone was off. It was persistent, flirty in a way that felt wrong. I did what you're supposed to do. I ignored it. Don't rock the boat. Don't make work awkward. One day, a bunch of us were shooting the breeze by the registers, talking about TV shows. Out of nowhere, Sean looks right at me and says, "You like Stranger Things, right?" My stomach dropped. Stranger Things was my secret binge. My after-work, alone in my room obsession. I'd never ever mentioned it at work. I just nodded, my throat tight. How did he know? He just gave me that awkward smile and wandered back to the dairy cooler. The air felt different after that. I felt watched. A few nights later, I'm in bed. The house is quiet, and then I hear it. A soft tap, tap, tap on my bedroom window, just light enough to be deliberate. I looked, saw nothing, but I knew. The next day, I'd had enough. I texted him back firm and clear. "I'm not interested. Please stop." His reply came instantly. One sentence that froze my blood. "Okay, good luck changing your address." There it was. The mask slipped. I saved everything, screenshots, the whole deal. I went to my manager with my dad. I went to the police. He was fired. A restraining order was started. People tell you a restraining order is a shield. It feels like a piece of paper. For months, I lived in a state of quiet panic, checking locks, jumping at noises. The fear isn't that they'll do something. It's that they've already shown you they're capable of anything. And a legal document feels so fragile. Eventually, with no contact, the fear faded. But the lesson was branded into me. Danger doesn't always announce itself with a scream. It starts with a text, a question, a tap on your window in the dark. It lives in the ordinary, waiting for you to notice. By the time I was 26, I thought I was a veteran. I could spot the weirdness. I worked in a small insurance office in Pennsylvania, a typical boring job. There was a new guy, Tom, been there 2 weeks. Tall, quiet, off-putting in a way I couldn't quite name. Not creepy, just strange. He had this habit of being near me. If I made coffee, he'd appear. If I went to the printer, he was there. I chalked it up to social anxiety. One Friday, a huge storm rolled in. The sky turned black. By 3 p.m., it was a monsoon. Management let everyone go home early. I volunteered to stay and finish some filing. So did Tom. By 5 p.m., it was just the two of us in the office. The power was flickering. The sound of the rain was deafening. Every flash of lightning lit up the empty desks like a crime scene photo. Around 6:30, the power died for good. The emergency lights kicked on, casting this deep orange glow. I said maybe we should head out. Tom didn't answer. Instead, I heard the jingle of keys and the solid thunk of the front door deadbolt locking. "It's not safe to go out yet," he muttered. His voice was flat. A chill different from the storm went through me. I tried the phone. No cell signal. The landline was dead. I turned from the break room, and he was right there in the doorway. I hadn't heard him move. He was holding a small flashlight under his chin, shadows carving his face into something monstrous. He gave me a half smile. I played it cool, said he scared me, asked again to unlock the door. He just repeated it wasn't safe. I went to my desk, my heart starting to drum a war rhythm. When I looked up a minute later, he was gone. I saw my chance. I wouldn't go out the front where he was. I'd use the back door. I hurried down the dark hall to the emergency exit. I pushed the bar. It didn't move. I felt along the metal, a thick chain wrapped through the mechanism, locked with a heavy padlock. We never chained this door, never. I saw the beam of his flashlight bobbing down the hall toward me. Pure instinct took over. I slipped into the supply closet next to me, pulling the door shut just as the light washed past. I stood in utter darkness, surrounded by the smell of paper and bleach, holding my breath. I could hear his slow footsteps, then his voice soft and close outside the door. "Hey, you in there? I just want to make sure you're safe." It was a mockery of concern. I didn't make a sound. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure he could hear it. The flashlight beam bled under the door, painting a yellow line on the floor. It stopped. It lingered. Then it moved away. I waited in that dark closet for what felt like an hour, listening to the storm rage. Finally, I eased the door open. The hall was empty. I crept toward the front of the office, every sense screaming. I turned the corner and stopped. The front glass door wasn't just unlocked. It was shattered, completely. A gaping hole to the outside. Wind and rain were blasting in, soaking the carpet. Tom was nowhere. I didn't hesitate. I ran. I sprinted through that jagged opening, glass crunching under my shoes, out into the freezing horizontal rain. I fumbled my keys, soaked to the skin. Finally got my car started, and I sped out of that lot without a single look back. The next day, the police found his car still in the lot. His wallet, phone, keys, all inside. The security cameras, they'd been manually shut off before the storm even hit. He'd planned for the dark. Tom vanished. They never found him. Some said he had a breakdown, ran off. I'll always wonder what his plan was for me in that locked, dark office, before whatever made him finally break that door and disappear into the storm. So why tell you all this? These aren't ghost stories. They're people stories. The guy who laughs a little too long at your cubicle. The coworker whose texts feel a little too personal. The new hire whose presence just makes the hair on your neck stand up. For no reason you can explain. We're taught to be polite, to not make a scene, to assume the best in people. But your gut, that primal instinct, it's smarter than your manners. It's the part of you that knows a shadow from a shape. If someone is making you uncomfortable, even in a small way, listen to it. Take it seriously. Talk to a manager, document it. Trust that feeling in your chest. It's not paranoia if the threat is real. It might just be the thing that keeps your story from becoming one worth telling in the dark.